Okay, let's switch to TV. So what I gotta do here is go.
Just change your engine.
Yeah, change the input, which is a pain. Oh. Here, source.
So are the Girl Scouts changing the channel on the TV?
And,
I don't know.
there we go.
Last night,
So there might be somebody gonna change the default. So now we have one screen over there, this is the second. So we are going to.
We just, we have. So the next row.
Yeah, now, here's what I also, I double click the screen.
I don't get this over there. I should. Oh, yeah. Firepower? Yeah, what's yeah.
Oh, you did? Oh, gosh, yeah.
Amy. Yeah, Amy McCrellis was done.
Nice to meet you. I'm Forrest Anderson. I don't stone. I used to be at N9. I was at N9 for 9 years.
Gotcha.
A lot of samples,
Which samples were you particularly involved in?
3 years organics. And then I did I did OES, metals. I did GCs. I did AAs. I did mercury, oil, water, everything. I went up to Sugar Bush and I was an operator there for a little while.
Nice.
So I think we have.
Terrible place to be an operator.
Right? Oh, it's that fresh mountain air every morning.
How are you?
It's good. You have some amazing calves out.
Were you at both of their plants or?
And water, wastewater. And I started doing classes with Vermont Rural. I met Wayne and Elijah, and position came up and got lucky enough to.
Trish, how are you?
I was actually just in a meeting with Lynette then. And
Anywhere at the big
Peter, I got, is there any, I'm gonna be doing a survey for indirects.
So, yeah, you are open mic right now. You can tap the center of the microphones to mute. If you don't want those people to hear you, but there's only 2 people so far. I'm gonna take the wires down to the little. Out of your way. Fix it after. The public starts showing up. You want them just to come in?
Yeah. Well, we're gonna take a little break between our regular meeting and the public meeting, or the roundtable.
And would you like me to record this?
Yes, please.
Recording? Oh, it's recording.
So we started recording a little while ago
Recording.
at 5, I think.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Wolcott Village Wastewater. We'll go around the room here and do some introductions, but folks on Zoom, I see Emily and Julie Beth are there. Would like to introduce yourselves?
Hey everyone, it's Julie Beth Hines, working with the town and the committee on financial projections.
And I'm Emily Hackett with the State of Vermont Clean Water SRF and ARPA Village person.
Right, I'm Jim Ryan, the chair. I think we know, most folks know me here. Maybe we'll just go around.
Sure. Amy McCrellis with Stone Environmental consultant to the town.
Town Carpenter Select Board.
Tori Helwig, Lamoille County Planning Commission.
Forrest Anderson, I'm with Vermont Rural Water Association.
Vito Zorchek with Stone Environmental, engineer on the project.
Bruce Wheeler, Planning Commission and DRB.
Linda Martin, Wolcott Select Board.
Tricia Pollard, resident.
And we have Bradley
President.
in the wings. And thank you, Dawn.
I'm a resident.
And thank you, Dawn, for being our IT person today. We really appreciate it.
We have, Bert Tenney.
Hi, Ashwak, do you want to?
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, you didn't get your turn?
Bert Kenny.
Hi, Bert.
Hi.
Good to meet you.
And we need her to.
Ashwak, do you want to go?
Sorry, I just arrived. I present myself. So,
Yeah, introduce yourself.
okay. So hello, everybody. I'm Ashwak. I'm working for the indirect discharge program, and I'm responsible for permitting the ARPA funded projects, villages projects.
Thank you, everybody. So we have just a brief agenda for our normal meeting. Actually, it's not our normal meeting. We're meeting now on the first and third Tuesdays at 5 o'clock, but because of town meeting, we had to shift that meeting to today. So we're gonna have a brief meeting and we're gonna take a break before 5:45 and transition over to our wastewater roundtable meeting and presentation. But we thought we'd keep the agenda pretty light for the first part. We could discuss more, but we intentionally kept it pretty light. And folks had a chance to take a look at our meeting minutes from February 20th. Do you have any thoughts, questions, discussion before we have some motions?
Make a motion to approve. February 20th. I'll second.
And a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Let's have it. And it's approved. Yeah. So we thought we'd use kind of the balance of meeting here and kind of looking at our timeline, and we did have some initial thoughts on having the operation and maintenance cost discussion at this meeting. We thought it'd be too much time that we had, and we thought we'd push it to next week. So we get to meet 2 weeks in a row. And we can go over the timeline between, especially now, vote to 11th, almost exactly 3 months from now. And we've went through a bunch of benchmarks to get to this point, and 3 more months to go. So why don't we start with, this is, Tori came up with our timeline, wastewater timeline from February of this year, and toward the bottom there we have June 11th, our vote day, and getting our vote results. Will it take that long before we get our vote results, Linda? A month?
We will have them 12. There's a few
People have the opportunity to petition for a revote, so it's not good for 30 days.
Oh. Good to know.
And I have actually met with Belinda and gone through the bond vote timeline too. I don't know
Oh.
if that's important.
So I do want to discuss that.
So you're not really safe. You really need to wait for 30 days.
Okay. But we'll save that to when we get towards the vote. We had a very good showing at the town meeting. We printed out all of our new flyers. We have all of our new flyers on the back table there. Bradley and Forrest did a great job on the flyers, and we had 4 different. We had a flyer for advertising this meeting, and we have a flyer advertising the June vote, and then we have some informational flyers, kind of more specific information about the project and question and answer. That Forrest came up with, and we have the 2 maps. We have the service area map here behind us, and also where it would be located at the school, at the athletic field. So those are all on the table there. Folks haven't had a chance to take a look at those. There's a lot of back and forth with the outreach subcommittee, and getting those flyers ready. And thank you, everybody, for that. We handed out quite a lot at town meeting, and we had to get some more copies for today. I probably talked to a couple dozen people at least at town meeting, and most people were positive. And some people just grabbed some information and go, so I couldn't gauge that, but so that was good that we had that opportunity. And we ran Bruce's drone footage of the flood on a laptop on a loop. There was a lot of discussion and a lot of interest in that too as well. And is that the footage we have for the PowerPoint, Tori, for Bruce's drone flood footage?
Yep.
Yep.
About a 1.5-minute video.
Do we have any questions or thoughts about the roundtable before the roundtable starts? Any questions on logistics around that? And we had some ideas on who might cover each slide. And Linda was going to kick things off with introductions and some background context of some past wastewater efforts. And the cheat sheet here. We had Bruce doing a couple of slides. So we had, did the slide numbers change at all? They didn't change, right?
Nope, slide numbers haven't changed. I just wanted to make sure the flood video. Slides emailed that to you in advance of this meeting. Or if we should pull that into Bradley.
So Bruce said tentatively Linda doing slides 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, Bruce doing 4 and 5.
Yep.
Tricia doing number 6. I was going to do number 7, the water quality and flooding. Peter was going to do the lion's share, 8 to 14 on the technical aspects. I don't know if you guys are
That's fine.
sharing.
We can share or not.
And
No.
and JB
We
and
play well. Okay.
and Emily and anyone else that wants to chime in. Seth is not coming, right?
He's coming in person just a little late. He had another meeting right before this.
And then one of you doing the money. Alphabet soup of acronyms for the different grants. And then I thought I'd wrap up with the last 2 slides. And Corey was gonna easel and document any comments and questions coming in on the Zoom and in person, so we can have that.
I've got some drone videos that are more pleasant of the fall foliage if we have time or want to do it afterwards or whatever. You could set those up. More pleasant
After
than just seeing the river flooding. You know.
Do we have a laptop? Are you running on that?
I've got my laptop or I've got it on the stick. You could run it. I'll give it to you
And
here.
maybe run it right after the.
Yeah.
Roundtable.
And then we had a discussion on how we were gonna have the questions if we want folks to hold the questions till the end, or if there's maybe relevant questions to a slide that's up that pertains to the slide, it might be an opportunity.
Yeah, I don't mind folks interrupting or raising their hands or however it plays out.
I think so too. This being like an hour-long meeting. I mean, it's different if you have these drag on 3-hour things and here
Right.
it's like, just put them all at the end.
Right.
But this, I think, I don't know, I feel like people should.
Well, and also as once we developed this and I kind of saw what slides we had, I realized that
Yeah. There's gonna
It's
be very
easy.
little interruptions, as we
Right.
all know.
Sorry, just looking at the timeline now, is this, before we added the second? Okay,
Well, there's 3 other meeting dates that should be
okay.
added. Um,
We have March 19th.
yep. April 16th. May 21st.
That's, the week before Memorial Day, right?
Yep.
Going away in a week, we don't even have a meeting.
Into what?
I'm going away in a week that we don't even have a meeting anyway.
So that leaves 6 meetings left before the.
One informational, right? Are we gonna do one
And-
more?
And one more informational,
Yeah.
and I don't know how folks, so I think we have to discuss the Belinda logistic question on what's required for the public meeting before we answer that question. What's required, and do we want to have separate meetings, the required one and another meeting, outreach meeting similar to this roundtable? Or combine those into one?
So you're required to have an informational meeting, 10 days before the election, within 10 days, not longer, but within.
I was thinking on that June 4th meeting that we had scheduled before.
So that would be June 1st through June 10th. You have to hold an informational meeting.
Within 10 days of the vote.
Mhm.
So that said, what if folks think about having the informational meeting as part of the June 4th, maybe similar to what we're doing tonight,
Sure.
or do we want to have a separate meeting,
No,
combine them?
combine.
We might have to have a longer first meeting, if we're down to the wire and we have some things to iron out before the vote, but it might have to be an hour instead of
Yep,
a half hour, 45 minutes.
it's okay, but I would prefer not to add one more meeting if we don't have to here, because
Okay, how do other folks feel about that?
Cory, any concerns?
I guess, are you thinking it would be a similar experience to the roundtable tonight? Or are you thinking more of the like septic social barbecue thing?
This informational meetings are more formal.
Yeah, more
They're formal.
like this.
You do a presentation. There is questions and answers, but it's not a social gathering.
Right, I'm thinking that if we wanted.
You could hold it a little quickly and have a social gathering
Yes.
after,
Yes,
but it is a purpose-specific meeting and the purpose is specific to the issue that is going to be voted on.
Yeah, it seems like that would be so.
It is a single purpose.
If we want to combine them into one, then we might have to forego that, unless we're going to do some other refreshments or something for that, the second meeting. But we kind of agreed that the second meeting, roundtable would be more on the money costs, and both capital and O&M costs. Correct, like this is more about the system and why we're doing this, and
I don't
My
know.
hunch is we'd cover a lot of this as well. It'll be a little bit longer presentation, but then also add on
yeah.
Review.
those layers. Yeah.
Okay, then we
And
can,
I'm not ready to, I'm more like, I think we need to see how many people come tonight, how people are just hearing about it tonight. I talked to someone today who had just started to hear rumors, so we really need to get a feel what's out there and make that decision in maybe a week or two, but
We really need it to be in the paper. Okay,
make
it's
the
much-
decision,
yeah.
make the decision about what.
having another informational meeting first, other than that request.
Oh, I was assuming we're talking about the
No,
informational meeting being that other meeting.
That was my feeling too, Linda. It's like a little too early to make a final decision if we need a second one or not.
I'm gonna tell by tonight's meeting how much more work we need to do,
Yeah.
how much more outreach we need, getting the word out there. You'd be surprised how many people aren't on Front Porch Forum.
Right.
And, you know,
That's why I said it's gonna be important that this makes the paper,
Yep.
and it makes it shine in the paper. I mean, because as much as everyone says people are going to computers to get all their news, no, they're not. They're still reading that little rag that we all get in our mailbox.
I think a lot of people read the news.
Absolutely.
if they get it.
We do every other week, so we're doing pretty
I
good.
got 2 lessons.
Yeah.
The same one?
Oh, you mean if it
2
actually?
weeks worth.
2 issues, yeah.
Our mail service is so bad. It won't go right now.
Speaking of rags in the mailbox there, I brought a couple of copies. They're over there of the Wolcott Messenger. It spans from 1920 up through 1940, 19 or more. Huge newspaper. We've got it, very interesting to read, stories, personal stuff, trips, you name it. So I might mention that just that if people don't know of them, they're in the Historical Society area where I just know. But anyway, it's a great view of Wolcott during the 1920s, 30s and 40s.
Nice.
I was shocked when you were talking about at the last meeting about Wolcott being a vibrant community. That's, I mean, I've lived here for,
It was bigger than Morrisville.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've lived here like
Good.
almost 35 years here in Wolcott.
Population.
And that was, since then, I've been like,
Population, businesses,
Yeah.
hotels.
Really?
It was, and then once that flood of 27, it just,
Oh, flood 27.
it was gone and the big hotel burned.
That would be good to,
No, it
that'd be good
was-
to talk about tonight.
We did the
and then,
hotel burn.
and then this is what we're striving
No,
for,
it's
is
probably
another
in
a
the-
vibrant
Yeah.
town.
There's lots of pictures in there of that.
So this is important. So I think we shouldn't call the meeting that meeting on June 4th, the roundtable, we'll call it the informational meeting, right? I just want to make sure we get the terminology correct. That we're opening all our eyes, crossing our T's.
Just like the school board's required to do one before their budget hearing, because there's really no discussion at the polls.
And what, when
It's a
does it have to
state
be
statute.
warned?
So it has to, the select board has to approve the warning prior to posting. And it needs to be posted the same as regular, 30 to 40 days before the election. So that would be May 2nd to 12th. So it would need to come to the select board, the warning, almost the end of April.
Yeah.
And then the rest is more for Belinda. It has to be warned in the paper for 3 weeks.
And we
Maybe.
have not developed the language of the questions yet.
Well, we
What's that?
don't. We hire the attorney, the bond attorney does that. And that's, I was hoping Seth would be here because you hire a special attorney. There's money in that clean water thing for that,
Right.
26,000.
Yes. Linda,
But
yeah,
they haven't gone through the bond bank yet. It hasn't written off.
yeah. That's a fairly straightforward process. The big wrinkle here, everybody, is with the school language. So the sooner we get the bond attorneys on that, the better. But that'll be a pretty straightforward exercise.
So
There
JB,
won't be anything surprising.
Do we have to do the school one?
No, but it's important to, but that there will need to be coordination to make sure, super sure that the bond language for both attorneys have signed off that yes, if these are both passed, not only just can the town borrow through the bond bank, but we'll have access to the land.
so we're clear, the school board question is not a bond vote question. That's a citing question.
Correct.
But we have to, there's gonna be some language saying if the bond vote is approved, would be in the school question. And making, so who develops that language for the school
I mean,
question?
usually it would be the school district's attorney.
Hmm.
There will just need to be coordination. It's really not that big. There's not.
We just need to make sure those boxes get checked.
We just
Exactly.
need to give them a deadline that the approved
Yeah.
warning needs to be presented to us,
Correct.
to the town clerk.
Yep.
To be posted.
So we need to get it on the agenda for the school board meeting, right, to do that? Or
I
can
don't
this
even
be-
know if you need the agenda,
I
but
just-
just to make sure that they have the deadline dates and that they're gonna act
Right, 'cause they've already
expeditiously.
approved it, Jim.
So I would just send an official letter to we know who the town attorney is and to the chair.
But do we
of the
get,
select
we
board.
have some feedback on the language and
No,
the question?
no.
No.
No?
No, I think it's just an ask to coordinate efforts so that the language is complementary between the two articles.
Correct. And that nobody blows any deadlines.
So does that,
Hashtag just because I'm paranoid doesn't mean that it won't happen, so.
does the ask come from the select board?
Yeah.
To the school board? Who does the ask?
Me?
I was waiting.
So my question is, how do I pick a bond attorney? I wanted to know if it was gonna cost us more, so there's $26,000 in there to cover the costs. I don't know what costs those are at that price. How much is the attorney gonna cost? Because if it's over 10,000, we have a procurement policy.
Linda, it absolutely should not cost more than that.
More than what?
10,000.
More than 10,000. It shouldn't even be close to that.
All right,
Maybe 5,000.
Usually, so the firms that use the bigs as their municipal attorney, usually there's somebody like it's Sisel Page and Fletcher.
yeah, that's one of
Bob
the names I
Fletcher,
have, yeah.
You know, and I would recommend Bob Fletcher. You know, the places that use Dave Rue as their regular attorney, he just walks across the hall to Bob. In this case, I would recommend Bob just because he's been through this recently.
Okay,
And it should be, you know, ask for a quote to work with the town to prepare the language. And yes, it is a covered cost in your clean water SRF coverage. Emily, is there any procurement issue with the town selecting?
As long as they follow their procurement process.
Okay,
I wish I had a list of names right now, but I don't, and technically we really are not kind of allowed to do that, but I'm
Linda-
sure if
Yeah.
you guys gave a call to the office, Lynette or Eric might have some suggestions as well.
I can give you a couple other ones, but Bob is efficient and available.
well, I have 3 names. I'll send 3 letters asking for 3 quotes.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Okay, I just want to make sure, we don't have a whole lot of time here, but I actually want to potentially have some rough agendas or, at least our to-do list in these specific meetings before the June 11th vote. And in other words, what's left to do before the vote? And
Ordinance.
so next week, on the 19th, we talked about continuing the ordinance discussion and then Tori and maybe JB, we're gonna develop some O&M scenarios, or Seth was gonna develop those. Some tiering, if we will.
Fee impacts and fee structures?
So we're breaking down the O&M annual costs between, if we have the 3 baskets or 4 baskets of municipal buildings, commercial buildings, residential, and then potential townwide, in addition to the town buildings.
It sounds to me, Jim, if I'm not mistaken, like you're talking about sort of options for rates for setting who pays how much
Yes.
and what the tax impact is. Yes, that is in front of me and we will be ready to talk about that next week.
So we'll call that service rates.
You call it, it's basically, to keep everybody on the same page about what it is, it's basically your wastewater rates. It's your rate structure. Call it wastewater rate structure. O&M is just one component of your total cost. And so it's how we allocate those costs. That's your rate structure.
So if we, I just want to make sure we have realistic goals for our meetings here. And then the second part of next week, really honing in on the ordinance and then it's specifically what still needs to be done with the ordinance. I'm posing that as a question to where we're at. We went through almost all of the Westford ordinance and track changes. What do we feel we need to get accomplished in? How do we transition from the Westford track changes document to a town of Wolcott ordinance? What do we need to do? I've never developed an ordinance before.
Well, what's the process for the
So,
board?
but what do we want, how do we want to transition the Westford ordinance to a Wolcott draft ordinance?
So you have a clean copy, you present it to the select board, they review it. You need to get their approval to, adopt it. And so,
Right.
No, even
But-
before that, we need to do.
Tori, do you own that document at this point? Because I do not.
Yes, definitely. I have that at LCPC.
Awesome. Okay, so with the policy issues worked through, it sounds like maybe next week is a good time to come in with a clean copy, or at least.
Cleaner.
Cleaner, yeah.
Changes.
Probably.
Accepted second review.
Yes.
Okay,
I wanna make
And
sure
then-
there's something for stormwater on there. Stormwater drains and shit.
In the wastewater ordinance?
Make sure it's in there. Do not have stormwater drains
Oh,
connected to
perfect.
it.
Yes.
oh, yeah,
There's a lot of
That's
places that don't have
100%.
it. That'll take a lot of capacity up if it does.
Yeah.
I
Is there
absolutely
information-
assure you that is in the draft ordinance, because that's
Yes.
critical. But Linda, it's important for this group and select board to know, you do not have to adopt that ordinance unless and until you know you're gonna have a system.
well, that's fine, yeah.
Yeah, so there's nothing, I mean, it's really important for the community to get the ordinance adopted so they can see what the policies would be. But you don't have to take action on that as a town, like on any particular timeline with the bond vote. You can just, so long as you've got that adopted as governing before the thing is constructed, you're good.
I thought is almost a bullet list that can be presented to folks of policies that everyone's agreeing upon that sort of drive the rate structure.
Agree, exactly.
One page bulleted summary. Yeah. I think the wastewater rate structure is going to be more important.
Yes.
But is there information we need before our next meeting? In order to have that discussion, is there anything we need to do before that?
Tori, I don't know if it's possible if we can get between JB and what LCPC is developing, if we can see that before the meeting, if that's possible, so we can review it.
I'm gonna give you 4 options.
Uh-oh.
And then we can make any kind of iterations from there, but I'm gonna show you what it would look like under 4 different rate options. Everybody pays based on a gallon charge. We fix the residential cost at $30 a month. We have the town pay a larger share, and then we can iterate so many ways your head will explode. But I'm gonna give you those 4, and then we'll talk next Tuesday. We can think about what we want to do for refinements.
Thank you, JB. That would be helpful. Okay, April 2nd. On our master to-do list before the vote. Towards Tori, Peter, Amy, JB. What do we need to get accomplished before our
anything.
How'd you vote?
My hunch is what we just talked about, the rate structure is gonna need some refinement and spill into April 2nd. I'd like to maybe target. Well, Linda, do you happen to know the April dates that the select board is meeting?
The first and third,
First and third
Third
Wednesday
Wednesday.
in April.
right there.
Say we
Third
need to,
and
Because
First and third Wednesday.
third and 17th.
I think maybe April 2nd could be a combination of wrapping up the rate structure and maybe me starting to present where the total project costs are starting to land as we refine things in our opinion of probable cost. And then maybe that carries over to the 16th, and then hopefully you have one more select board meeting after that where wherever we land with the needed bond amount can get rolled into the language that the attorney's already working on.
Coming up with a specific number.
Is he far enough back out though, Linda? Or is he too tight to what you have there?
Well, the third would work.
I say the third is
Third would be
probably
the
want to.
deadline,
Right.
absolute deadline.
But we can have they can be working on the language. It's just it's a dollar amount that goes into the language.
On the third.
We're talking,
But we have to have it on the third.
we're talking about May.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I was
I
April.
was figuring we'd start that discussion on the 2nd. Potentially be refining it or have further discussions on the 16th, and then kind of be nailing it down on the 16th to be rolled into the language that's been already drafted. That makes sense?
The final cost discussion on the 16th.
Yeah.
It's April 16th. We have 2 meetings in May. On our to-do list. Then we have, if we are gonna have a second round table, it should be in that. Probably maybe the 21st might be a better.
Yeah, don't agree.
Second roundtable with a question mark. We have May 7th.
I think there's gonna probably be a lot of discussion on the final outreach pushes that need to be done and how the community is responding.
Hey.
Hey, look at that.
The way?
Nope. Good timing. Okay, so how do folks feel where we're at on our timeline to-do list? Some very rough agenda points between now and our meeting. Maybe, could I ask, Peter, Amy, Tori, JB, if we can have maybe a more fine-tuned to-do list of what we need to do before the vote, or we have a rough list here, but maybe if we can sharpen it a little bit. So make sure that we're doing everything we need to do,
I can.
especially since we're decided to meet twice a month and make sure that we're taking advantage of that time.
I think it would be helpful to kind of incorporate the bond milestone dates, like when does it have to be in the paper so that we know when it's
Yeah.
gonna be in
May
the paper?
23rd, May 30th, June 6th.
So if we can,
That would be the issue, then it would come out.
Would be the- Okay,
so Tori,
So it's back up a
can
week
we,
from there.
can I request that we have an updated timeline with
They have to be there by
the second wastewater meeting and some of these?
Tuesday, but I like Friday.
I shoot for Friday before.
Yeah.
get
And
that
if they want a question,
Next week,
Yeah.
put in there.
next week's.
I always
If-
have to
if we
read
have it.
them. Did you get it? Because I never.
So Greg Papa always answers me and says, Trish, good to hear from you. Thanks for sending it. As he knows, I hate the paper.
Okay, so we have
Him and I have had spitting words.
on our agenda, we have the agenda for next week's meeting, as we just discussed, so wastewater rate structure and the ordinance development for next week, 5 o'clock next week. All right, any other items that anyone wants to discuss?
I think between Tori and I will just continue it every week from Porch Wormholes. I think that's the way to go. I think just between her and I,
Okay,
maybe a little recap this week after this meeting here. But I think we have this one covered. Unless there's something very specific someone wants put out there, then send it along, but
Or you could thank people for coming out. If they missed it, they can go on the website and.
yeah, that'd be a great one for this one.
Yeah.
and see if we need another outreach subcommittee meeting between maybe in early April or something.
Yeah, okay.
Other items? That's it. We are adjourned. All right, we're just gonna take a little break, folks, and then we're gonna start our round table after everybody gets a chance to have some pizza and
Who's keyed up over there?
dessert goods. Thank you, Belinda, for picking up pizza.
I'm thinking maybe we could play the autumn Port Pleasant thing while people are eating.
Like right now.
And if anybody.
Yeah.
Does that work?
Okay. Wants to